Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and today we are returning to this little chestnut plastic cards. You might remember how I talked about the subject of plastic cards in one of my 7 Deadly Sins videos, specifically the one about non-standard card sizes. And I talked about how plastic cards are generally really tricky to work with. They're more expensive to produce, and they tend to be like really thick and unfriendly for things like card sleeves. The real thing I pushed in that video about standardizing your card sizes was that you're going to want to have cards that work in sleeves, and these plastic ones tend to be thicker, they tend to get a little bit stuck, and that can be a bit of a problem. Although, I admit the 2 most prominent examples of using clear cards got a little bit cute with how they did it. In the case of Hecatomb, the cards are in the shape of a pentagon. They call it Hecatomb, and yet it's pentagons. I guess calling it Pentatomb might have gotten them in some trouble here. But Hecatomb I've shown off a few times. It is a sort of Lovecraftian game featuring Tixisticatl, which is got a pretty neat design. It's a very, very angy hermit crab. But the idea is that you have several of these characters, and you can stack them on top of each other to slowly make a larger and larger monster, so kind of like a precursor to how Digimon does it now, although Digimon does it with regular cards. And then, of course, there was this infamous little thing. I made a couple of videos on it. I kind of regret a lot of the things I said in that video now. A lot of it was stupid, but, you know, that was like, what, like over 10 years ago? That might have been like almost 15 years ago now. Wow. But yes, it was Redakai, and its big shtick was that it used lenticular cards, that when you move them back and forth, they will have a design that that allegedly kind of animates. Oh, I actually got it to work kind of well here. The problem is a lot of them don't really like move much at all. It's pretty difficult to get like a good look at their movement. There we go. It's like some you have to move up, some you have to move down. The problem is it was really gimmicky, and the cards were really expensive as a result. Like, the booster packs were like $6-7 each, and this was when this was like around the time that booster packs were only just starting to get up to $4. And what happened was they made it so that these cards were way more expensive than normal. Starter decks were like $20, and not even very good starter decks. And this was before like a lot of Bushiroad's stuff came and tried to make $20 normal. Well, we're starting to get back to that again. It's 15 seems to be the average these days, but the booster packs being $6 was a huge letdown. There was a whole thing where the rare characters, not this one, that one's actually like the rare characters would like show up in the second set. The rare characters from the first set would show up in the rare slot of the second set, meaning you could spend $6 and get no cards that you need at all. It was a mess. None of the plastic-based card games made it very far. I couldn't find my Dragon Booster cards, but Dragon Booster also had clear cards. Basically, you had the clear cards to build your character with, and it's not as cool as it sounds. They didn't really take advantage of the clearness at all. It's not like you had like a paper doll and you put like the armor on it or something with clear cards. No, it's like the clear cards could have just as easily been replaced by regular cardboard. But there has never been like a plastic card themed trading card game that has been successful. A lot of it is because of the expense, a lot of it is because of their unusual properties, a lot of it is because the big one with Redakai, Hecatomb does not have this problem, but the big problem with Redakai is all of the cards have different backs. So you have to use sleeves, but because you have to stack these cards on top of each other for their effects to work, you would have to take them out of the sleeves in order to put them in play, or try to use like a deck box. They tried to make this work, but the problem is the bottom of the card were also all different, so you could tell which kind of card you are about to draw. Like, here's one that eliminates the ability window. You can tell because it's white instead of clear, so you can still tell what you are about to draw even using this dark box. It was just a really... It was just a horrid thing in general. That is largely why I discounted these sort of plastic games, and yet a new member of my Patreon has said that they disagree with my assessment. So today we're going to be taking a look at the card game Flawed. Now, Flawed is another game that uses plastic cards, and as for whether or not it does a better job at using those plastic cards than Hecatomb or Redekai, I'm honestly going to leave up to you. But this channel exists to take a look at interesting ideas, and that's what I'm going to do. So the idea behind Flawed is it is a game that plays a lot like Duel Masters, I will admit, but the central theme of Flawed, in fact the name, the reason that it is called Flawed, I'll actually get into it in a bit. It's been a pretty big hit at the conventions it's been shown off at. They sent me a couple of these demo decks here, and the reason it is called Flawed is because the cards are incomplete. So the way this game uses the clear cards, as you see, we have our regular deck here still in the shrink wrap, and we have clear cards. And the idea is that you are supposed to combine one of these regular cards with one of these clear cards to form a complete deck. Let's see if I can get this open without hurting anything or hurting myself. There we go. So we have our cardboard cards. And as you can see, they look very, we have like a home card, which has a starting hit point score. So you have basically an avatar card, although it's more like a central location card. And then we have our characters. They have the costs and the stat powers. The way they actually use speed in this game is actually kind of interesting. Now, I've talked about spell speed on this channel before. Magic the Gathering has 2 spell speeds. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has, I think, at least 4 different spell speeds. But the idea is that in this game, each card has its own individual speed, which determines when it, how it can be played. What you have to play a faster card in order to counter it. So if you had a card with like a speed of 4, like right here, we have a card with a speed stat of 4. In order to counter this card, you would have to play something with like a speed of 5, and that's not easy to do. 4 is about as high as you can get. It also affects damage order in combat. So the idea is that basically every character has first strike against every character with a lower speed. So let me see, we have Life Cycle Warden has a speed of 2. Do I have somebody with a higher or lower speed? This one's actually pretty consistent. So here we go. So Root Tender has a speed of 1 versus Life Cycle Warden's speed of 2. So Life Cycle Warden would inflict its damage first, and Root Tender would go down. And it does use hit points, sort of like Hearthstone or the old Warhammer, or the old World of Warcraft, Warhammer, Warcraft. I think they're similar in design. But they have hit point scores similar to the World of Warcraft card game, similar to Hearthstone, so you can beat a character down with attrition as effectively as you could with attacks. So that is an interesting thing, but the thing that defines this game is, of course, these plastic cards here. And these look like they actually have like a handy rip tab somewhere if I can find it. There we are. So this is a demo deck. This isn't a full deck. So this deck contains 50 cards that form a 25 card deck. And I know that sounds weird, but the idea is that the cards themselves, although this is a card that is meant to go on top of the terrain piece, but what these cards do is they will modify the card that they play on top of, and it's pretty easy to tell. Let's see, there should be one specifically. Yeah, here we are. So here's one. So we have the Great Oak Fabled Guardian, and with this label it becomes the throne room of the Great Oak, and it gains a new ability based on this. And you can kind of see like the gears and stuff down here on the bottom of the card that distinguishes the type. That's typeless. This card also seems to have typeless, but for all other creatures, all other cards, you have to use these essence cards, and that's what they're called. So what happens is these cards will modify various things on the regular card. You get like in this case, Compelling Essence also modifies the cost by adding 1 blue to its cost of 4 and 2 green. And like with Duel Masters and having the handy little reminder symbol, it changes the attribute of what material this one gets. Although this is technically not a legal play here. They were both the cards on top. I just kind of grabbed them. Let me see. For him, he would probably use Loyal Essence. Although he's, yeah. Epic unit, Human King, gains the subtype Knight. That kind of makes sense. So what happens is there is a cost down here. And this one actually, it says unique, so you can only have one of these. They have a cost. So you cannot have a combined cost of 6 or more. So this guy has a base cost of 6, so I can only use a +0 essence. So there's these essences, which it looks like it is locked to unique, so you can only have one. But there are also basic essences that come in a couple of varieties. You have type fixers. This one can produce gray or green, and gray is actually its own distinct color. We have the infused Earth's essence, which adds a bonus, but there should be a basic Earth essence as well. Vehement essence. Yeah, here we go. Here is a basic Earth essence. You can tell that this is a basic essence, thanks to the little infinity symbol here. You can have as many copies of each infinity symbol as you want. Otherwise, it's the same deck restriction, which I believe is 3 each. So we have basic essences that both add a +0, cost 0 to put on a card, so anything with like a cost of 6 would have to use it. We also have infinite essences that are like infused Earth essence that add a bonus ability but cost points to use. So this is the balancing system, is that you cannot like strap a really powerful essence onto really powerful base cards. Let me switch over to the dark and fire deck, which I have already sleeved. It is a game that does require sleeves, because what you're supposed to do is take these assembled cards and fit them into sleeves to shuffle the deck out of. And this is just a deck of 25, so this is going to be like when you get the deck fully together, it's going to be the size of like a commander deck. I've said that isn't really a problem, because most people already have these kinds of sleeves lying around. Most people who play card games already have these sleeves, and the deck size is 50. These demo decks are a net 25 each, but they are half decks. So a full-size deck is 50 cards, and do you know the usual quantity of sleeves that are put up for sale? It's usually 50, which is actually kind of annoying, since a lot of games require either 40 or 60. Actually, Upper Deck, Ultra Pro, all of them, they do packs of 50. So this seems to be like aligned to that. But the idea is that you could build cards in a different way. Like here's an example here. We have our Intelligence Operative, who has 2 different essences on it. One has the pure dark essence, which can only be put on a dark character, which allows her to produce only dark mana at a cost of an additional +3, and also gives you the ability when this card resolves, that is, when it's put into play, if it was played as the first action of the turn, draw a card. So this is a deck that has a gimmick where they actually have a capstone character who makes it so that all of the every action you take counts as your first action for card effects. And then we also have the other one here, the Essence of Dark and Fire, which is just a basic dual land mana fixer, but that comes at, again, a cost of +3. So this is a character with a lot of flexibility, since they're able to use a lot of different cards. And the idea is that you could sort of build your deck any way you want. You could have a water deck with a lot of fire essences splashed into, because each essence kind of has its own angle. Like, let me see, we have the pure, do we have the infused essence? Yeah. Like the infused grass essence added like a special effect. The infused fire essence actually increases the power of whoever it's attached to by 1. So, a lot of essences have different abilities, and only certain essences are restricted to which they are attached to. I showed you that before. There should be, I believe it is the pure essences are what I have found. Infused is not. Where is? Yeah, like the pure dark essence I was showing off before. It's blocked by the sleeve, but if I pull this out a bit, you can see it is locked to dark. So there are only a few that are only locked to dark. So you can make it so that every individual character every individual card in your deck can be used to provide whatever essence you want. You can use the ones that benefit from giving your card better attack stats at the cost of having to have fire in there. So there's a lot of variability here. Like I said, it's been a pretty big hit at the at the games I've seen, turns are actually played in alternating activation. That's a pretty big difference. I've talked about this. My deck uses alternating activation, so you basically have like a full round, and each player takes turns. So the full round is, everybody readies their cards, everybody draws their card for turn, but then each player alternates taking an action. It's like, okay, I'm going to play a card, okay, I'm going to attack with a card, until both players get exhausted, and then after that they go on to the next round. So it's a game style designed to keep things fast and punchy, no 20-minute turns, no solitaire. Like I said, my game actually uses it actually has a thematic reason for going with alternating activation. It's supposed to be like a very like high speed, high stakes sort of action going on. But we will have to see how this goes. The design schematic, from what I can tell, how this game plans to be sold, I don't know if they're going to do these standalone decks to do like, I think these are personally a good idea, have like full-on decks or like a double deck that can be like smashed together into one big full deck. I mean, that might be what I do with these decks that I've been given. But the business model, to my understanding, is they plan on releasing a full-on pack of the clear cards. Like the clear cards, you buy like a big box that has all of them at full play set. You get all the ones you need. And it's the cardboard cards that come in booster packs. Just the regular paper cards come in the booster packs. With the clear cards, like you have all the copies you need. They will occasionally receive updates. Like the idea is that the clear cards would be sold at sort of a loss to get people invested in more, getting the paper cards and stuff. I've seen games that are able to fit one clear card in per pack. Dragon Booster was able to do that, although Dragon Booster also failed almost immediately, and that's because it was the Dragon Booster trading card game, and the Dragon Booster trading card game was awful. It's an interesting way to do it for sure. If the idea is that they only put out like a pack on occasion to update the new ones and put the real focus on like the cardboard cards, like you buy like one thing and that will last a while. If you want to kind of try to stretch it between two friends, the idea of that you get the theme decks and they come with some extras, like everybody's down for extras, and then you use the extras to like you and a friend can build a deck between all of those. I think that might work. But I don't know, let me know what you think. It's the first time in a while I've seen a game try to use clear cards, and it does admittedly use it in a pretty interesting way. So yeah, that is a game called Flawed. I'll include their socials below. So yeah, let me know what you think. Like I said, I haven't had good experience with plastic cards, but let me know what you think of how they plan to do it, how they plan to monetize it, how they plan to sell and distribute the cards. And yeah, so this is a quick look at the Flawed trading card game. And until next time, this is Kohdok signing off. A big thanks to all of my Patreon subscribers who make this possible, specifically Monster Crown, Spiritem, Skeldrakus, Christopher P, Universe of Legends, Cody and Kaya, Danny, Vaughn, and Johnny D2, who contribute at the $10 and higher level. We also have the names of our $5 and up patrons scrolling by now. Just $1 per month on my Patreon gets you access to my Discord channel, where we've been doing discussions on game design and even holding game nights through Tabletop Simulator. Do you want to see more videos about card game design? Check out my playlist about the 7 deadly trading card game sins. Do you want to see my reviews on more card games? You can check out the Docs Game Club section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.